In 2016, a new era for women's cycling was ushered in. The UCI Women's World Tour would bring elite competition to more races, more race days and more fans than ever before. 17 challenges over 6 months, from the perilous Ronde van Vlaanderen to the prestigious Giro Rosa, showcasing a variety of top-class racing. And the prize at the end of it, the champion's jersey of the first ever Women's World Tour. With the tour reaching its conclusion in Madrid on Sunday, inCycle takes a special look back at this inaugural season in the company of newly crowned champion Megan Guarnier.
It feels great. It's a little bit surreal on the moment because it's been a long season, it's been a hard season, and it's a lot of work from my teammates. It's been a fun year and it's been a hard year, and to finish it off with the win with the World Tour is pretty incredible. And I don't know if I actually believe yet that it's happened.
It was Guarnier's Boels-Dolman's juggernaut that would script much of the year, including its opening act on the white gravel roads of Tuscany.
There's a special place in my heart for Strade Bianche. I won it the first year. It was a women's race, and that felt incredible. And then to come back knowing we had a strong team, it was important for us to win it and show that we were a force to be reckoned with this year. Lizzie came in and she stomped up that hill and won it, and it was beautiful, and it just set the tone for the year for us.
As Ahmed said, lit the touch paper on the new season, Boels-Dolman's had its first win of many more to come, and the next would come just 7 days later.
When Chantal wins, there's just this light in her eyes, and it's really, you can feel it in the team how much of a team sport it is, and how, like, I get goosebumps talking about watching that win. I was, in this second group, maybe even the third group. I have no idea at that point. But the sprint was setting up for our group, and I heard that Chantal had won on the radio, and I completely lost focus and got shuffled to the back. And I was just so excited to see her win. And yeah, that continued with the Bulls winning streak at that point. We were racing for me that day, and it was beautiful team tactics. And then Lizzie did this amazing move to bridge up to Jolanda Neff that we thought the other teams were going to react on, and nobody could bring Jolanda and Lizzie back. Lizzie opened up this incredible sprint and won, and then the group behind I sprinted out of and then came over Jolanda for second. And that was really special because that was 1-2, and being on a World Tour podium with your teammate, I think, is quite a nice feeling. When we went 1-2, I don't think it can play out any better, actually, and it doesn't matter if it's me or Lizzie on the podium or on the top step. We were both on the podium, and it was fun. I mean, when you can pop champagne and do the confetti with your teammate, it's a lot of fun. For me, part of being a cyclist is learning how to handle yourself and race in all sorts of terrains. And in the early season, we do see a lot of the wind, the cobbles, the short, punchy hills. And being on a Dutch team, that is their forte. And I've had to learn how to adapt into that. And it's been a learning curve, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. Maybe not every minute of it. It's been hard. But I mean, when you can look back and see that you contributed to a team win on a course like Gent-Wevelgem or Drenthe, it gives you a sense of pride.
and contribute is exactly what Guarnier did. Chantal Blaak staking her claim as Queen of the Classics solo to victory at Gent-Wevelgem and into the leader's jersey of the UCI Women's World Tour, replacing her teammate Lizzie Armitstead. In cycling, there are few more recognisable races than the Ronde van Vlaanderen. 141 kilometres of bone-shaking cobbles and fear-inducing bergs, all lined with fanatical crowds of Flandrians. The Ronde was one of the most hotly anticipated days of the new season. And the peloton delivered a top-class display, led by one of its irrepressible stars of the season.
For Ronde van Vlaanderen, Lizzie had a huge target on her back because she's been close in years before, and it was well known that we would be racing for her. When Emma Johansson attacked and Lizzie was right there, it was a beautiful setup for us, and Lizzie had to work really hard to make it to the line with Emma.
It's the rainbow jersey on the right-hand side. Armitstead, who's ready to hit the front again, but it's hard. It's Johansson who's in front. No, it's going to be a real sprint to the line. Armitstead's going to do it. Armitstead's there.
Fortunately, Lizzie won it, and it wasn't a huge margin that she won it by, but I mean, she crossed the line first, and that's been a huge goal of hers for many years, and it was great to see her finally get that.
While the Paterberg couldn't bring Armitstead and the Bols Dolmans Express to a halt, another famous Belgium climb soon would.
The Mur de Huy, it's this, I don't know how long the effort is actually, 3 to 5 minute effort that you can train for every day, but at the same time, once you're on that, the final time going for the finish line, it's so painful, but it's also, when it's that hard of a finish, I think it's a beautiful finish, and it really brings out some incredible rides. You see people win it, and they can get their hands up off their bars over the finish line, and every time I've crossed the line, I'm falling off my bike. So I think the feeling between winning it and not winning it is very different.
Atop the Mur de Huy, it was a second consecutive triumph at Flèche Wallonne for Rabo Lib's Anna van der Breggen. With some of Europe's toughest tests now conquered, it was time for the Women's World Tour to go global. The first stop was China, as Guarnier and co gave way to the sprinters for 3 days of fast-paced racing on Chonming Island. Wiggle high fives, Chloe Hosking grabbed her first Tour win of the season on stage 2, and it was enough to give the Australian the overall victory. Now it was time to go stateside as Megan Guarnier headed home.
I wanted to do well in the Spring Classics, and those are always a big goal for me. And then being in the United States is always really special for me. So I was targeting a build-up in the Spring Classics, and then again a build-up into the American racing, which culminated in nationals, and then I came back over to Europe. But I think I guess I'm starting to feel the home field advantage in the United States. The first stage was up in Lake Tahoe, and it's beautiful there. And I won that stage. It was a beautiful setup by the team, and I won the first stage. And that put me in the yellow jersey, and the team worked there. They worked so hard to keep that yellow jersey till the end of the race.
And Guarnier herself deserves a lot of credit for covering attacks on stage 3 to Santa Rosa. But that day was most noticeable for the return of Marianne Vos. The Dutch legend made her mark on the Women's World Tour with her first victory on the road since August 2014. Stage 4's circuit through Sacramento could be savoured by Guarnier as she emerged unscathed, while the final sprint went the way of another Dutch powerhouse, Kirsten Wild. For Guarnier, it was time to pull on the yellow jersey, then for the first time, that of the Women's World Tour.
At that point in the season, Boels Dolmans had been handing around the Women's World Tour jersey around a little bit, so when it came my turn to pull it on, it was really special. And but at that point, I was just thinking, oh yeah, it's nice to keep it in the team, and wasn't thinking too much beyond that moment and the Tour of California win.
Through 9 rounds of the first season of the UCI Women's World Tour, Boels Dolmans had dominated the top step of the podium. And following back-to-back wins in the Tour of California and the Philadelphia Classic, Megan Guarnier could start to feel more comfortable in the rankings leaders jersey. As the World Tour returned to Europe for the Aviva Women's Tour, her team were ready to once again show their might on the other side of the Atlantic.
At the Aviva Women's Tour, when Christine won the stage, and to see her cross the line, and then at the end of that day, she pulled on the yellow jersey in that at the beginning of the race. And Christine works so hard for the team, and you see that in every race she shows up to, and she gives it absolutely everything. And to see her win, it gives you a good feeling because you know how much she's worked for you. And when somebody works that hard and then their work pays off, you know it's a really nice moment for them. And to see her in the yellow jersey was special.
By Stage 3's Queen Stage, Lizzie Armitstead had cut a low profile, but the form that had seen the world champion as one of the key protagonists of the early season was soon on show, as the home favourite made her mark.
Here we go then. Armitstead now beginning to apply the pressure, and it's Armitstead beginning to try and go clear of the rest, and she is going clear of the rest. Coming up to the line, Armitstead is going to win Stage 3 here in Chesterfield of the Aviva Women's Tour, and how important is that?
With the yellow jersey secured, attention turned to its protection. As Marianne Vos and Lotte Lopisto claimed stage wins on the race's final days, the race lead never looked like changing. Job done for Armitstead, and World Tour win number 8 for Boels Dolmans. It was on to Italy and the final stage race of the World Tour, and for Megan Guarnier, the last major goal on the calendar.
I think the Giro is one of the premier women's stage races on the calendar. It being 10 days, it's one of the longest for the women, and it's, I would say, one of the hardest too. It has all sorts of terrain, and it has the time trial, it has the prologue, it has flat stages and hilly stages and everything in between. And it takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of commitment on everybody's part to, day after day, go after either the stage win or the overall.
In a challenging Giro, the iconic pink jersey would be worn by 4 different riders before settling back on the shoulders of a determined Guarnier following Stage 6.
So last year, yeah, I lost the Maya Rosa in the time trial. And this year, coming into the race, I wanted to, of course, I wanted to take home the Maya Rosa on the most important day, which was the last day. But at the same time, when I started the race, I couldn't think too far ahead with that because the time trial was late in the race, and it was a similar scenario actually this year, coming into the time trial with the leader's jersey and trying to defend it in the time trial. And this year it worked out for me, which was nice.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! What a day, what a day!
With the Giro win, Garnier's lead in the rankings was near insurmountable, as it was in the under-23 competition for the tireless Kasia Niewiadoma, thanks to a 7th place finish in Italy.
I showed myself, I think, in good side. I did a few good stages and my confidence was there and I felt strong. Of course, it's a bike racing, everything can happen, and sometimes you have luck, sometimes not, or sometimes just a day it's not yours and you can miss everything.
Undoubtedly, Niewiadoma is one of cycling's brightest future stars. But at the next round of the World Tour, she was on domestique duty as teammate Marianne Vos and the other fast finishers set their sights on La Course.
It was my first time I did La Course. It was great experience, really. It's maybe that tension of many people because it's at the end of the big Tour de France. So there's a lot of people, everybody is interested in the cycling, and yeah, every girl wants to be in a breakaway. It's so difficult to get there in the breakaway because it's going so fast, and yeah, there's actually, let's say, not many corners to hide yourself somewhere. But yeah, it was nice to, I love to be in the team, not only to thinking about myself, but also to feel that I'm a precious member for the others.
But on the cobbles of the Champs-Élysées, there was no repeat of 2014's win for Vos as wiggle high fives Chloe Hosking showed her strength with a long sprint. From one iconic setting to another, at the Ride London Classique, the World Tour set itself against a royal backdrop. And while Guarnier and her climbing rivals had their minds on Rio, the sprinters continued to fight it out.
I think another interesting aspect of the Women's World Tour is that you have all sorts of riders that can win, and all sorts of terrains and all sorts of types of road races. And Ride London was another punchy sprinters race, and it was there was a lot of media coverage around it, and there was a lot of money as well. It was one of the highest paid single days this year, and I think those are great steps for women's cycling.
Claiming that prize pot was High-Tech Products' Kirsten Wild for her second victory of the season. After a brief hiatus for the Olympics, the World Tour returned in style in Sweden for two separate races, starting with the team time trial.
I think having the women's team time trial in Vargarda is a really nice addition to the calendar. Again, it's a different race, and not a road race, not a stage race, and it's a beautiful discipline in our sport. It's also a good addition to the women's calendar because the only other single standing team time trial we have is the World Championships. And so the Vargarda World Cup is very important in the preparation towards the World Championships.
A 10th and final World Tour win for Guarnier's Boels-Dolmans team, cementing their status as the team of the season. And 2 days later, the road race served up a fascinating terrain and a finale to match as Ale Cipollini's Emilia Farlin prevailed for a first home win.
I was a little bit bummed I wasn't there when I heard that there was more gravel in the race, because I guess there is a special place in my heart for gravel sections, but we had a great strong team there, and we gave it our best on that day, I know that, and yeah, Emilia had a great win. In Plouay, we had 3 really strong cards to play. At the end of the day, I found myself in that selection at the end by myself, and it was a very exciting race right till the end. There was just a lot going on in the final 3 kilometers. And we had another new face to the Women's World Tour win.
And that face was BTC City Ljubljana's Eugenia Bujak, denying Italian national champion Jelena Cecchini on the line. A 5th place for Guarnier sealed the victory in the top of the rankings and her place in history.
Pulling on the jersey, knowing that nobody could surpass me in points, it speaks to a lot of the years of hard work, and it speaks to believing in myself, believing in the process, being in a very supportive environment that has allowed me to reach this dream come true.
The Madrid Challenge would be the setting for Guarnier's curtain call and the final race of the World Tour. After 15 laps of the circuit through the city, Wiggle High 5 delivered a 1-2 punch as Julian de Hoore edged out teammate Chloe Hosking. As the sun set on the inaugural season of the UCI Women's World Tour, Guarnier could finally savour her moment.
The Women's World Tour has been a great step for women's cycling, having that narrative throughout the season from single days to stage races, and it's provided a backdrop that we've been racing against. And I think going into next year with more races being added to the calendar, and to have all of the exposure and to have the racing at the higher level and have more teams racing at the higher level, it's a great moment for women's cycling, with more teams coming up, more teams coming to support women, and it giving more women opportunities to race at this level. And it'll be nice to see where the Women's World Tour goes.